Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? I'm going to make a quick presentation, but hopefully a meaningful one that people will value when they're listening to it, if they ever listen to it. It's basically going to be part strategy and part what is the state of mass media communications, the mass media industry, and the state of technology. And as a disclaimer, I'll say that it's a global problem. It's absolutely a global problem. Every continent, every nation worldwide is pretty much suffering from the same problems in terms of technology and mass communications, media industry. But even though the problems are shared, obviously we have to have utmost priority and reverence for the state and for the country that we live in. Because my philosophy is that the more locally or regionally you apply common sense and strategic direction, that's actually going to lead to the most wholesome and valuable opportunities created. But let's talk about the big picture. In terms of strategy, my company's been working on essentially a new industry. It's a new industry in that for so long, we've had passive entertainment content and passive programming of all types, whether it's news programming, information content, infotainment, entertainment. It's all been passive, meaning people sit back on the couch and they are presented with ideas that many times they don't agree with. And it seems in many ways that audiences, viewership, sometimes studies the programming on the major cable networks and on streaming platforms, and they say, is this supposed to be for me? Am I the target demographic? Am I the target audience? Because they seem completely out of step with my values and with what I want my way of life to be, my lifestyle, my career trajectory, my family values trajectory. It's like, how did the train get so far left or far right off the train tracks in terms of the understanding of viewership, audiences? Now, there was the Nielsen Ratings, and for many years, decades, they were heralded as these important metrics that would give media producers and media executives, they would give them an indication of this is what audiences are responding to. And the content accordingly would be catered to audiences to ensure the highest viewership possible and the highest consumer satisfaction possible. But it's like it went vice versa, or it all went in reverse, because it's almost became an issue or a problem where the programming seemed to tell the audiences, we really don't value what you think, and we really don't value what you believe. It's just, it is what it is. Now sit back on the couch and watch it. And too much of it has been demoralizing by design, on purpose. Too much of it has been utilized to foster division, so that in many ways the populace is kind of torn apart at the seams, if you will. It's very rare to see good, positive news content or programming, whether it's entertainment or what have you, movies, shows, anything. And there's two different aspects to it or dynamics to it. One is what happened to reverence for the audiences. At what point did the major mass media conglomerates or the big companies, the big studios, at what point did they start saying the ratings are going to be the ratings no matter what, and we don't even value the ad dollars anymore? And it's not about putting our best foot forward to make networks grow or to make, from a financial standpoint, for the operations of major studios and companies to do better. They didn't have that mentality. They used to. That's why if you speak to nostalgists or people who have been alive long enough, they'll tell you, no, once upon a time, it wasn't all that bad. There was a reversal in terms of the consumer-oriented dynamic and strategic mission, where it's like the major cable networks, and especially more so the movie studios, almost they stopped trying to even care or think about what consumers want to watch or what would be good for them and what would put them in a good direction in life, in terms of career, in terms of personal life, in terms of values, in terms of family, in terms of everything. So, and I reiterate, it's a global problem. If you speak to, here in the United States, we've had it up to our eyeballs. We're pulling out our hair over this dynamic of what happened to the media ecosystem. Whether it's traditional media, legacy media, whether it's the new streaming, the new emergent competitors that have tried to enter into the space with limited success, it's like, what happened? And I mentioned earlier, it's two flip sides of the same coin, same problem, because I get the impression that the broadcasters, the creators, the presenters, even the media executives still want to do good. But there's some kind of an unwritten rule or a mysterious force that won't allow them to cater to consumers anymore. It's like it's running on autopilot, and it's been very destructive, both for the studios, the broadcasting networks, the major media channels, and of course for the viewership, the audiences, the consumers, the people in the living room watching the content, the programming. So what is it going to take for that dynamic to change? And I could get into geopolitical issues and solutions about financial formulas that could change the end goals and the strategies so that there's a more informed populace, a happier populace that has a higher quality of life and that is more focused on the pursuit, the actual pursuit of freedom and the pursuit of happiness, which is an American value. But it's a global issue. All 7 continents are trying to figure it out. So the way that I think is that the solutions are actually more practical than you think. Before we scratch our heads and wonder, is it, geopolitical trade issues, or is it alliances with certain countries, or is it about political partisanship? What's more important is that actually innovation, technology innovation, is going to be the fastest way and the most efficient and effective way to change the formulas that have been in place and have been adverse, have been negative for both the creators, the producers, the executives, the major studios, the major companies, and of course the consumers, the people who watch the movies, watch the shows, watch the news, etc. By strategic hardware technology solutions, I mean we're going to create a new industry. Instead of passive entertainment content, passive news content, passive programming, we're going to have an industrial revolution of sorts, because we're going to introduce interactive, where people have an active role in how the programming unfurls on the screen. What the endings are, what the values are, what is rewarded, what behaviors are rewarded. And it's interactive and it's interactivity. And it will be a simple hardware solution with a proprietary technology that we're developing. We think that eventually, via simple, user-friendly technology with just 2 push buttons, consumers of all ages are going to actually have a say, are going to have involvement, participation in what's put in front of them on the screen. Whether that be the television set in the living room, whether that be the big screen in the cinema or the movie theater, whether that be, you name it. The hardware technology is going to allow entire networks, major networks, or it may be a more humble but financially nimble approach to make sure that what I believe is going to be the future of mass media and the future of technology is more consumer choice. Not just in what should I watch, but when I watch what I watch, how can my input, my participation, my involvement directly affect the outcomes of what it is that I'm actually watching? And that's going to be the interactive movement, if you will. And I truly view it like an industry that's going to be valued at many, many, many billions of dollars. And it's going to be very pro-consumer. And it's actually, and it's not ironic, it's not stupid, it's actually going to be a saving grace for the major companies. The big companies that have been not demonized, because in a lot of ways they've deserved a lot of the animus and the hatred that they've garnered over the years. But it could be a saving grace for those companies, because through new strategic solutions and simple, innovative solutions, we could actually give them more credibility. And it will be financial dollars that would not be generated at the expense of consumer sentiment or an autopilot crusade to consumer disenchantment, but rather the opposite. Through innovation, it would be lucrative for companies, and more importantly, it's going to perhaps save the human race. Because if we change the technological dynamics and the involvement dynamics of where with a remote control, whether you're at home, in a movie theater, whatever it is you're watching, if you have simple 2 push button choice selection with the Onvoi technology, we're looking at a completely new media landscape and paradigm. We're looking at tremendous financial value, and more importantly, a more informed, a more dignified populace, and a populace that's not just going to automatically shut out the news or shut out entertainment because they've been so disenfranchised by it in the past. It's going to be like a fresh start, a new beginning for an industry that it's doing well. No one can underestimate the challenges of what mass media and technology has been undergoing in recent years. Many times we feel like the technology has just been more and more compromised. Well, that's where the simplicity approach to the hardware and the simplicity in terms of the solution. Is it going to take wars? Is it going to take treaties? Is it going to take foreign alliances? Is it going to take new political parties? No. It's going to take more involvement through interactive technology so that the content dynamics change, the programming dynamics change, because for the first time in industrial history, consumers will get to say, this show should end this way. This character should go away. This movie should be a happy ending. This movie should not be depressing for 3 hours. And we're going to reinvigorate the box office, interactive cinema, interactive movie theater experiences. We're working on that. And it's going to reinvigorate, enliven home entertainment, direct-to-consumer markets, where through the hardware technology, the hardware boxes, programming boxes, interactive programming boxes, when they're installed underneath the television set in the family room, for the first time in industrial history, consumers will get to sit on the couch and actually have a say, an interactive say, interactive involvement, interactive choice selection in terms of the themes, the characters, the plot twists, and the sky's the limit as far as what the options are going to be for different networks and different companies of all sizes. So my name is Jacob Fairmont, and on behalf of my company, Onvoi Technology, Onvoi Interactive, I wish you all a very happy afternoon, and I hope I gave you something to think about. And let's try our best to keep a positive attitude, to stay optimistic. And we can never lose faith in something that it has had value, tremendous social value. It's just that for a few decades now, it's kind of been on an autopilot setting where it's not exactly designed to make people happy and encouraged. And if that were to change, and I think it will with simple technology advances and strategic changes, when that changes, I think we're going to all be better off. We're going to be in a much better place, a much better state of mind, and we're actually going to have fun and enjoy programming again, because it's going to be more valuable, and it's going to be one of a kind, and it's going to be different, and it's going to empower consumers. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. God bless you, and take care.